Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I hope the holidays were wonderful for you and yours. I took the holidays off from YouTube in one extra week. I caught the flu and was just not up to it, but I feel great now and intend to keep the videos coming. Today we talk about cats. For the cat lover, there is no other relationship that brings such peace and calming. Their purr can lull us to sleep, and they have scientifically proven that just petting a cat lowers blood pressure. Enjoy the photos while I tell my tale of 9 cats. My life with a cat started at age 10, when my mom brought home this tiny, solid white kitten with blue eyes and bloody ears. Neither of us knew how to care for a cat, but I took her to the vet, and we got her ear mites cleared up. She grew to be a gorgeous, slightly fluffy yet petite cat, solid white with blue eyes. Since this is the cat I grew up with, we share a strong bond. She would walk to the end of the sidewalk when I left for school, and she'd be waiting there when I got home from school. I taught her to sit and shake hands. She would do anything for a pounce treat, and she loved cantaloupe too. We would share soft-serve ice cream cones from Dairy Queen. She slept at the foot of my bed every night. As I aged and started staying out late or staying the night at friends', she would get mad at me for not being home. I came home one night and she had peed on my bed in 3 different places. She never went potty in the house, ever. Another time I came home and she had pooped on my favorite white boots. No one will ever win the cats are dumb argument with me. They are very smart and very sensitive creatures. She was the best friend I have ever had. As a teenager, I did not realize that my not being home as much affected her until much later in life. When I got my first apartment, the ad said 1 cat okay. I knew that was the place for me. It was just around the corner from where I grew up, but that first night alone in my bed with my cat there gave me a sense of security. Unfortunately, no photos of her survived. I named her Sugar, and she lived up to that name. After her, I got a solid orange tabby I named Sonia. I decided by this time all my cats' names must start with an S. To get her a playmate, I got a kitten I named Cypress, and yes, I spelt it with an S. But Cypress would not use the litter box, so she got rehomed after a few weeks. Sonia had bad luck, I guess, since they say cats have 9 lives. I came home from work on Christmas Eve about midnight, and I went to the back door to let her in, and she didn't hop right in, and I said, "What are you doing? It's cold out." She finally hopped in the door and immediately went under my bed. I pulled the bed out, and that's when I saw the patch of raw skin. I didn't know what happened, but I called the vet, and at 2 a.m. I was in the vet office waiting to hear her condition, and a young man was being told his dog did not survive for being run over by a car. My heart went out to this young man, even as my heart raced wondering about my Sonia. Apparently, she had gotten under the hood of a truck and was caught when the person started the engine. You know, back in the day when fans were made out of metal. It sheared off one side and put a cut on her head and a hole in the other side and a nick in her tail. They kept her for 2 days and called me to say she was not eating and they think she's going to die. Thinking of Sugar, I said, "She thinks I've abandoned her. Let me take her home," and they did. I had cream I had to put on and hydrogen peroxide in her other wound. She still would not eat. After several days of treatment and just hanging out with her, she got up off the couch and went to her food dish. I called the vet and everyone was very excited. After a while, I let her go outside, and she had a huge scab on her side. The vets didn't know if her fur would grow back, but when she came back in, the scab was gone, and just a small area had no fur, and that did eventually fill in. I lived in a residential area with a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit. Yet coming home one evening, there in the road was my Sonia. I burst into tears and carried her into the house. She thankfully was not a mess, for dear Show would not have handled that at all. I buried her in the backyard with her favorite toys and treats, and made a marker for her. She brought me so much joy over the years, but I think she used up 8 of her lives in that one accident. After Sonia, I moved to the country, and my then boyfriend brought home 2 kittens we called Sunny and Snapple. Shortly after, we had moved back to the city, so they got rehomed. My next cat I named Sassy, and she lived up to her name. I also had this one the longest. She lived to be 14 years old, as she had some health problems when we rescued her. She was solid black with golden eyes and a tiny tuft of white fur on her chest. While I had Sassy, I got a little boy kitten for the first time and named him Sammy. He was a gray tabby and was king of everything. I dubbed him the Studless Muffin because he did not seem to be aware that he was neutered. Another move forced the rehoming of Sammy. My next fur ball I still have, and I named her Sophie. White with a gray tail and a spot on her head and light green eyes. She is very fluffy, as you can see from the photos. 5 months after getting Sophie, I got her full brother, an orange and white tabby with brown eyes. I named Scooter. Scooter got a condition and had to be put down last summer, and Sophie and I are just hanging out together now. As I get older, I'm not sure if another cat will enter my life. Sophie is 8 years old now, and I believe she will adjust to life of traveling. I sincerely hope so, as it would break my heart to have to rehome her.